52% of Muslims in the UK believe homosexuality should be illegal. 52% of the Muslims live, and the level of support for terror attacks from Muslims living in the UK is very high. And then, for example, when the grooming gangs attack, we have that in so many of our cities. They are coordinated, they are networked, they are devastating, and they see white girls, my daughters, as trash. We don't see many imams ever standing outside the courts to just say, not in the name of our religion. And I would have liked to see that more. I'd like to see feminists also saying, this is not right. But I don't hear that. There seems to be a silence on the left about all of that.
So I think...
And on the contrary, the feminists and the LGBTQ+ and the liberals are going to go and protest against the people exposing this, against Katie Hopkins, against Tommy Robinson, against Charlie Veach. What is wrong with you people? Hi, doing this is Sahar TV, and before we get to the video, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification button so you can be notified every time I upload new content. In today's video, we will watch Katie Hopkins on the Dave Rubin Show. Let's have a look.
I have tried incredibly hard for the years that I've been doing this show to separate the ideas of Islam, which is a set of ideas that should be criticized the same way you could criticize the ideas that are Judaism or the ideas that are Christianity or the ideas that are capitalism or anything else.
Of course.
Versus Muslims who are people, the vast majority who want the same exact things that you want and I want and everybody else. How big of an issue do you think this battle between the ideas of Islam and the West is? Or did I even frame that properly?
No, I think it's fair the way you frame it. And I think it would be a great thing if we were able to, in our daily lives, I'm talking about in the UK, if we were able to separate those two things out nice and neatly so that it was about Islam and the ideology and a criticism of that versus regular Muslims living in the UK, many of whom are working very hard. Many of them have been here for generations and just want to crack on and do the same as the rest of us, which is look after our families, worked hard and try and be vaguely healthy and happy as much as we can. But I think the problem for us is...
By the way, we could be a lot better about that argument right here in America, too. So that's not unique to you guys, because I try to do it all the time and still get thrown in with the people that are not doing that.
No, but I think in the UK, the problem with trying to have that kind of educated approach and that differentiation of those two positions is that when we live amongst it so much and the attacks are so relentless, it's hard. So as you're walking across, so if I think now, if I'm walking across Westminster Bridge to the House of Commons, the fact that there are these concrete bollards up that now separate people on pavements from the roads. When we go to certain junctions now, there's concrete bollards so that trucks can't drive into you when you're crossing. I think that we live amongst that so much that there's a fear of the acid attacks, where the police have just been putting out what to do in the instance of an acid attack. What to do.
Right, so this is kind of the new one now, sort of.
Yeah, so the evolution for us, so it was the terror attack, especially across Ramadan in the summer, that sort of peak terror for us, where we had the Manchester bomb as well. Then we had the police saying, you run, you hide, you tell. Run, hide, tell. That's the message from the police. So that was pushed out. And of course, that goes against everything inside of me that says, no, you chase them, you fight them, you try your best, you die trying. That feels more like the advice I want to hear. And there was a few people, one Millwall football supporter who did precisely that. He fought those attackers with their knives and he got taken apart, but he survived. But anyway, run, hide, tell. That feels wrong. That's not British to me. And now we've got the latest police advice, which is for acid attacks, because the latest is to come up on a moped, squirt sulfuric acid and take people out that way. And the acid attacks are sort of, whatever it says, it's this, it's rinse, it's repeat, it's something, cover. And
by the way, the Islamists, once they do the attack, if they see you run, they perceive it as weakness instead of strength. Why would you run away from something like this? I mean, it's a natural thing to run away from somebody trying to kill you or run you over or stab you. Natural thing to do. But to them, it's perceived as weakness. That's why there's a huge amount of immigrants coming to Europe, because they perceive the approach of the Europeans as weak. Poland, though, they perceive them as strong, relentless, powerful. They're never going to let us in. That's why they're not even trying, because they know the outcome of dealing with Poland.
It's weird to me that we live in a time where that's our police advice, is about how to cope with terror and acid. I find it really hard then to differentiate, right, let's be a sensible philosophical debate about Islam versus I need a concrete bollard to get over that bridge, and here's my advice for terror. And I also think, we had surveys done, 52% of Muslims in the UK believe homosexuality should be illegal. 52% of the Muslims live, and the level of support for terror attacks from Muslims living in the UK is very high. And then, for example, when the grooming gangs attack, we have that in so many of our cities. They are coordinated, they are networked, they are devastating, and they see white girls, my daughters, as trash. We don't see many imams ever standing outside the courts to just say, not in the name of our religion. And I would have liked to see that more. I'd like to see feminists also saying, this is not right. But I don't hear that. There seems to be a silence on the left about all of that.
So I think...
And on the contrary, the feminists and the LGBTQ+ and the liberals are going to go and protest against the people exposing this, against Katie Hopkins, against Tommy Robinson, against Charlie Veach. What is wrong with you people? Where is your sense of justice for wrongdoings in the UK? Everybody should be speaking about this. Everybody.
You've already answered this, but what do you think that odd alliance? I mean, I've had a zillion guests on to talk about this, but this strange alliance between feminism and Islam. I mean, there is an alliance between two things that should, by all accounts, be completely at odds with each other.
Yeah, so on the left, for me, it seems to me there is a very clear hierarchy of things you accept. So you accept on the left, first of all, multiculturalism. Like, that is your bedrock, that's the foundation of everything. That's the number one thing you have to accept. And then things fall under that in a hierarchy that we could argue about. So maybe LGBT, maybe probably Black Lives Matter goes above that. You could put the environment somewhere. This is a hierarchy. So when it comes to homophobia in the Islamic community, the Muslim community, it's still, multiculturalism still takes precedent. And that's why you have the silence. There's a thought vortex where they can't possibly stick up for, or reject or denounce the idea that it's not acceptable to be homophobic in the UK because multiculturalism and respect for the Muslim faith is higher on their hierarchy of thinking. It's a bit like Maslow's hierarchy.
Right.
It's a new hierarchy of thought.
Katie Hopkins, ladies and gentlemen, what a brilliant human being. What a phenomenal communicator. Make sure you follow her. Make sure you follow Dave Rubin, who keeps bringing incredible stuff to social media. This is a pretty old video, but beautiful video. And in regards to what happened to Henry Nowak in 2025, because multiculturalism is higher on their hierarchy of importance, that's one of the reasons why Henry Nowak call for him to be saved was ignored by the police who came. They didn't believe him. He told the police he was stabbed, but they said, sure you are, buddy, letting him die. That is the problem with the British way of thinking, with the government, with the establishment way of thinking. Multiculturalism shouldn't be set here. It should be set at the bottom. Brits come first, then immigrants. Stop having this apologetic approach that will drive your country to the ground. There's still time to act. Still time. And you got this. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. If you'd like to watch more of my stuff, please check out my channel down below. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification button so you can be notified every time I upload new content. If you'd like to support me and the channel financially, you can do that using Buy Me Coffee or Patreon down in the links below. Also, we now have a Discord that you can join down in the link below. And now you can become a YouTube member and enjoy specific YouTube perks. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.